my aunt was like, "Oh, make me one." So I made her one. Then I posted it, and then somebody was like, "Oh my god, I want one." Next thing I know, I was making so much money, and I didn't even know how to handle it. I didn't even know how to start a business. I didn't have a plan going. Around 2021, I decided that I wanted to become a doula. I'm a full spectrum doula, and that's kind of when I really learned getting my feet wet into entrepreneurship, learning about contracts and learning about speaking with people and basically the business aspect of it. And then most recently, October 2024, me and my best friend Terrence, we started Real Life Photo Booth Company, which has now kind of launched into real life entertainment because we're adding new things pretty often. We're getting really big. So I think one of the biggest things for that is just I've always had like a big entrepreneurial spirit. I've always known about hustle culture. Um, I'm originally from New York, and my mom always she jokingly said that's my Jamaican side coming out. So I just like to do stuff. I like to be busy, and I have so many thoughts in my head that sometimes I just want to get them out. And next thing I know, a business is being created from it. So now, most recently, I'm taking it more serious with getting everything licensed and everything to know that it's not just a hustle anymore. This is a business, and I'm trying to create something not only for me but for my daughter. So that's kind of how I got started into my journey.
Hello, my name is Samad Taylor. I used to say I'm from the government, I'm here to help. That was my spiel for, I guess, 39 years. I was director over the MBE, DBE program for Department of Transportation under the Regional Transportation Authority. I'm going to back up the train and say how I got into the business world as far as business is concerned. I come from a background where I had grandmothers, and so what they had property. So never did think about the property, but in recent years I found out that the property has been with us for over 100 years. So it's like generational wealth, right? But not knowing what generational wealth was, I'm just going with the flow. All right, so you go with the flow. I come to Texas. All right, we come to Texas, and here we are in Texas. And so I went to a HBCU and learned about us. All right, as far as being in Mississippi, I knew about us, but coming to Texas, I learned a lot more about us as far as Texas is concerned. And so the business part of HBCU, I was into urban planning when I went to grad school, my first master's, so it was in urban planning. So I got into transportation planning and learned about the transit. Transportation was the second largest business in our budget in the United States government, where defense was number one. So I learned how to use the Civil Rights Act of '64 to make sure that small businesses got a piece of that um, government contracting. And I was telling the professor there that when the HUB program was started, we helped write the legislation. That's how old I am. Helped write the legislation for the HUB program in the state of Texas. So here we are, post Biden administration, where I think that was the height of businesses that you could do civil rights as for it, and also EJ. So getting into government contracting. So I got as many people into government contracting as possible. Now I'm outside the government, and what I realized that in all our getting, we need to get an understanding, and the understanding is how to maintain the wealth and businesses that we have. How do we maintain all the stuff that we have? And so um, that I think now is the time for a small business, the best time for small businesses to make sure, and I was looking at this agenda here, and making sure that they have all of these things in place so that when we start stepping out as small businesses, we can go to the university to get the help and access to the resources, and let them be our resource center, because we're going to need to bounce out ideas, and why not do it the resource center where government and education can come together and help with the resources that we as small business are going to need, and I guess to perpetuate the generational wealth, what we're all seeking to do. So that opportunity is here and is now. It's time for the planning. So let's not stop planning, because I was an urban planner for a long time. So let's not stop the planning. Let's continue the planning so that we can all take part in this generational wealth. So I can leave something for my great grandchildren. I have 5 of them. So I want to leave something for them so that they can have that next, so they can keep that land for another 100 years, if you will. So that's what I was. So in essence, that's something that they will have. They will always have, and if you want to have, I would say if you want to have the best of both worlds, I would say it's always been real estate. Have some land, all right? Because you can always barter from the land, all right? You can make things grow, or you can help trade with it.
Okay, now.
Testing. Okay, I'm gonna do round robin. So this first question is gonna be for Seminary. How important is community support, collaboration, and buying black when it comes to building generational wealth?
Of course you would ask me this question. I'm very opinionated about how important that is. When I first opened a brick and mortar business, I made sure, join the Chamber of Commerce, make sure the Chamber of Commerce is there, make sure I have family there, friends there, and they were there throughout, the first months, having a business open. But like all things, that kind of dwindles and dies down as far as participation. I would say out of all of the shoppers that I had come in my actual retail store, about 95% of them did not look like me, was the thing. And they were there faithfully every week when we opened up. I believe that Corpus Christi is just not known for us pooling resources the way that we should, which is why I give a lot of credit to Desiree with her creating a group on Facebook where you can now go and say, hey, I need a florist, or hey, I need this or that. Do you know of any? And you can make sure to go to that person directly. That is the way that it used to be before, and I feel like that is how our community thrives, is by supporting each other. So that in itself is at the top of the list for me. I inherently believe in it. If you're up for the locals list in Corpus Christi, I'm gonna make sure I push you every week and vote for her, because that's the way it should be. That's what it should be. If I'm at work and I believe I need a floor arrangement and we have someone that passed away, my first phone call is to you so we can see what kind of arrangements can you do. That's just the way that it should be in my mind. I don't think it should be any other way, because if we don't support us, who else will? That's just how it is. And now that we have a different leadership at the top, I want to say in a different kind of way. I feel like we need to get back to grassroots of doing that. And like I said, the group that Desiree created was top tier that she created it when she did. We need to get back to that, and we need to get back to that in a serious way, because I feel like the reason that I went ahead and closed some of my businesses is you could read the writing on the walls that some of this is going to get bad. It's bad now, but I feel like it's going to get a little worse. But the only way that we can make it out is if we support each other. That's just how it is. There are other things that I've done too as well now to make sure that behind the scenes, we need to be making moves together. Not many people know about High Alco, or that they run the Elliott Grant Senior Homes or Jeffrey Lytle Homes. We've reestablished a board where we're asking for these things that need to happen as far as low-income communities, as far as housing, as far as us. And I believe everyone needs to go back to the drawing board, back to grassroots, and we need to start with that at the forefront, supporting us.
Awesome. So Desiree, since your name came up, what do you feel, or what role does financial education play in your success? How do you keep learning? You know, if you had any setbacks or mistakes, how did that teach you? What did that teach you about wealth building in your business?
Financial literacy, I'm gonna say at this point in my life right now, it means a lot to me because I did not grow up learning it. I didn't grow up learning about generational wealth or about savings. I just know you go to work and you pay your bills and you take care of your family. So as far as keep learning, I come to things like this, or I'm watching like podcasts or even TikTok. I use TikTok as well because there's a lot of wealth of knowledge on TikTok. But I have to keep learning because I want to be able to teach my daughter, because I jokingly say like I got this out the mud. I'm learning this as I'm growing into it. So I want to be able to teach my daughter the way of life and teach her how to save and teach her about generational wealth and teach her how to grow into this. Setbacks, plenty. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, so I still have setbacks. But I think one of the biggest ones that I've like really come to learn the last maybe couple weeks is tracking what comes in and what goes out. And it is a very tedious process because you can easily see something on Amazon and buy it, and then next thing I know, a week later, I'm like, oh my god, I forgot to put that on my tracker. So that's one of the biggest curveballs that I'm facing right now, is to make sure that I'm writing everything down, because I want to know where my money is going and how much we're getting back. And once again, that's just so I can teach my daughter, or so she can teach her future kids, or even teach my mom or my aunt or family and friends. Like Simone said about the group, I feel like if I don't know it, there's other people out there that don't know it. So Black Corpus community, I think, is very pivotal for us, because it's nothing but a big text message for us to teach everything that we know. Because yes, generational wealth is from like my children and my children's children, but I see y'all as my brothers, my sisters, my cousins. I never make a post without saying, hey cousins. So I want that to be kind of pivotal for us, so that we can teach each other, so we can teach our families, because I'm really passionate about our community, our Black community, and my wins is your wins and vice versa. So I can't grow if we're not all growing. So I think that's really important to learn it.
Okay, Brandy, what motivates you to keep building on your journey, especially when it gets tough? Do you envision building like your own mortgage company where you can build, legacy?
Absolutely. I love nothing more than to recruit my children and have them work for me. No. But just to give them, so a little bit about becoming a mortgage lender. A lot of people, I feel, don't know this. And so I first found out about real estate. Most people don't know the difference between a lender and a realtor. So when I first, heard about real estate or thought about getting into real estate, I automatically thought realtor, like most people do. And then I kind of went, okay, well, let's look at the different courses I could take. It's 180 hours. You got to pass the state exam, the national exam, so many exams. So to become a mortgage lender, it only requires 23 hours of education and one national exam to pass. There are 3,000 realtors, or probably more here in Corpus. There's less than 300 lenders in town. So when I'm a numbers person, obviously I'm a numbers person, that's why I chose to go the lending way. But those numbers spoke volumes to me. And so I think that is good for when you're thinking about what you should become. Or I think that this is a profession that a lot of people are intimidated by. They don't think that maybe I'm not smart enough. I hated math. I hated it during college. I hated it when I was in high school. I hated it. And I never imagined I would be here today as a mortgage lender, but it's just kind of how the cards fell. But I feel like if there's so many people that don't have the opportunity to get a 4-year degree, that it doesn't mean you can't succeed in life. It doesn't mean you can't make 6 figures. It doesn't mean you can't help your family, put them into position to become homeowners and to just elevate their standard of living. I mean, when you're a homeowner, you're not, let's say you have a 6% interest rate, that means 94% of your mortgage payment every month is going back into your home, building that equity, building that generational wealth. So when you do, God forbid, it's your time, we're passing the baton on and we're passing it forward. And they're not starting where we started. They're not starting sometimes from a negative, sometimes from a deficit. So I think that that's just something, that I wanted to put out there. I don't think a lot of people kind of look into being a lender as much as they look into being a realtor, but I could definitely tell you that it's changed my family's life for sure. So,
Thank you. Okay, so our OG on the panel, Lamont, when you talk about family and legacy building, what systems do you recommend should be in place to protect your legacy? You mentioned some.
Systems. First of all, we have family, so family, of course, have to be on board. That's mandatory. That everyone sitting at the table have a voice, and we go forward. We have the plan, and we go forward. That has to be sisters, brothers, whoever's in the pot has a seat at the table and know what the purpose is to take this family next 2-3 generations down the road. So planning is number one. And then saving, making sure that everyone knows about that asset, whatever that asset is. Everyone knows about the asset and how it has the legacy, and then how to protect that legacy. Whatever that asset is, family has to be a very key important part of it. And then I would say, have a friend from the tax side, know the taxes and the taxes implications of what's going on and what isn't going on, and also have a banker. Have a banker that that life is going to happen, and life has happened, and so you need to be prepared for whatever comes up in the pursuit of your happiness for your family. So you're going to have to know everyone has to be on board and talk about that particular asset, and everyone be on one accord and move that ball down the court. That's so important. And keeping up, as she was saying, both were saying, is keeping up with the assets and also the expenses of that particular property. You know what that asset is, and you know the deficits and the positives from that asset. So you keep everyone is in tune, whether that you have quarterly reports, monthly reports, or whatever, so that everyone knows. I just created another LLC, so everyone knows how to protect that asset. And it's not about you, it's about that asset.
And that would include insurance.
And definitely.
Okay.
There's fires, hurricanes, and everything else that happens.
So Satina, how has being a Black realtor shaped your approach to creating wealth?
I'm originally from Houston. I got my license in Houston, and then I moved to Corpus Christi about 3 years ago. Be 3 years in May. And yeah, I did it for my daughter. She's right there. One thing I noticed was the Black community here seemed a little different. First of all, I had culture shock. I had a little bit of culture shock. I was like, where are all the Black people at? Like when I came out, I was like, where's everybody? But it's just very different from Houston. But lately, and I would say within the last year, I've really kind of embraced that. And one of those things that's helped me embrace that is your page. Thank you again for that. But sometimes when we grow up, I grew up in the suburbs, and when I was growing up, I just wanted to fit in, and I like straightened my hair. I grew up in a predominantly white area, and so graduated, whatever, went to University of Texas in Austin, went to grad school at Indiana University, taught there at IU for a few years as a assistant instructor there, and then moved to Corpus for a blip, then went back to Houston, and now I'm back to Corpus. And I say all of that because I spent a lot of my time, I wouldn't say I ran away from my blackness, but I just was trying to fit in. I was always the one in the room. I was always like the one on the pamphlets, the one in the picture, that was me. I was there. And it wasn't until later that, I grew out my natural hair and I started really leaning into my heritage. And it didn't make me feel any real different being a Black realtor in Houston, but I really feel it here. Recently I went to a dinner for to the top producers at the brokerage. I was out of probably 100 or so agents in that room. For the top producers, I was the only Black person, not Black woman, the only one. And I was like, here I am, I'm the only one again, And I say all that to say that I feel figuratively and I feel emotionally the deficit of the Black community in terms of home ownership. And I really feel passionate about helping them learn about home ownership, how to plan for it, and becoming homeowners. Because the numbers are the numbers. We are, as far as minorities go, we are behind everyone else in terms of home ownership. So I feel kind of a responsibility even more now just to encourage people about it. Because we make money. We spend money. I think our group, we spend the most money. And we make money too. It's just what happens. The credit is huge for us. And that's why this year we're doing several home buying seminars and we talk about lending, buying real estate, and also credit and what your credit score is, how to fix your credit, the things to look out for. That's the one huge thing that keeps us back from acquiring home ownership. And then being there, we partner with, sometimes me and Brandon will partner with people for a year, helping them develop themselves so they can get a mortgage. And it takes, I feel like for us, sometimes it takes us more time, more dedication. We get really in there and it's messy, and it's emotional, and it's like energy draining sometimes, because you have to deal with not only people's finances, but their mentalities, right? To get them out of that mindset of being a renter for the rest of their lives. Renting is fine and it has its purpose and its time. It makes sense for some times and for some situations. But when you don't even have the thought of me buying buying a house, and you make six figures, what's that? Why is that? And what are you not teaching your what are you teaching your children? What are you passing down to them? And this is one asset that really can change your life if you know how to do it right. Whether you invest or you just own a home, in every 5 years you trade up and you trade up and you trade up, or you buy multiple properties, and you flip them, or you hold them for long-term rentals, or you do Airbnbs, right? So there's a lot of ways to use real estate to gain wealth, and I just want to help educate everybody about that.
Awesome. So
So easy.
for each panelist, what is the one piece of advice you would give to someone starting today who wants to build generational wealth through entrepreneurship? Anyone can start.
I'll start it. Because I saw this list that you guys gave out. This is the best list that you could have given anybody about how to set up a business. In my opinion, it takes a lot of planning, a lot of reading, a lot of questions, and you have to be sure about what you want to do as far as the different entities that you have to contact as far as getting your business done. You might have some people at certain agencies that, you know, they're not good at their jobs, I can say, or something like that, where you need to make sure you're well read on what you want to have done. But this list that you have here is the best list that I've seen yet, that someone could have. This is what you potentially need to do. There might be more than this, but this is a start of what you might have to do to be an entrepreneur. And why I love this list that you have on here is you have two big things that people never think of, and we just experienced this in a major way, and that's having a disaster plan and having an exit strategy. No one was prepared for COVID. No one knows what a business continuity plan is. No one knows what an exit strategy is, when to get out of the business. Those are major things that often get left off of this list that we're experiencing all the time because of where we live. We don't have any water. So what about people that are affected by water? There are different things like that that businesses usually never plan for. And you can have a great idea, but let another COVID happen, your idea might be shut down right away. So for me, it's the planning part of it. And like I said, having a list and being well read on what you want to do and knowing exactly how you want to set up your business plan should be at the top of being an entrepreneur. For me, it is. And I believe that using resources you have in the community, such as the Black Chamber, such as the Chamber of Commerce, those entities are very well read and very well stocked with people that have a lot of knowledge. I've sat down with Coretta, I've sat down with Lamont before, I've sat down with plenty of people from the Chamber of Commerce and participate as well. But I think having those key resources should be at the top of your list as well too.
What was the question? Is it on this? You know, it's not on this one.
Yes, well, number 14.
Sorry.
I learned a long time ago.
The advice I would give to someone wanting to start today is have a thick skin, and whatever you do, don't give up at the 1 yard line. So many people have amazing ideas and could have very well been successful had they really just gritted their teeth and saw it through to the end. And sometimes, you know, you have to be willing to keep going even though the victory's not in sight. So you can't see it yet. You're hoping for it. It might come, but you're walking in faith. That's kind of what walking in faith is, right? That's the biggest thing, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to get tested. It is hard. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, right? There's some people that are born to be great employees, and then there's some people that are born to really break the mold, so to speak. And those are the entrepreneur-minded people. Those are the proactive people. Those are people that are out there looking for the information versus waiting for the information to come to them. You know, how bad do you really want it? Because a lot of people, we all want to be rich. I want to be rich. We all want to be successful. But what steps are we taking to go really secure that future for us, for our family, for our kids? So that would be probably the biggest advice I would say is don't give up easy. Fight for the life that you want.
I was going to say, and I'll echo that. The other thing I'm going to say is, I was told a long time ago, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So get to know those individuals who can bring something else to the table. And it's a lot of prayer, so you don't have to take it from me, you don't have to pray a whole lot, because life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. So make sure that you stay prayed up and then go to those individuals who have been through these battles and utilize those resources. And as you said, don't give up. And I'll say keep praying.
For me, I would say start small, but start now. One thing that I've learned is you don't have to have all the answers. The answers will come when it's time for them to come. Sometimes you don't even know what questions to ask until the situation arises. I would also say stay consistent and roll with the punches. One time a couple weeks ago, we had a wedding and I feel like everything was going wrong. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And not then at the wedding, of course, but I did have doubts in my head, like, oh, I don't know if I can go through this again. What if this happens again? What if? But one thing I learned is I learned from my mistakes that night. I learned from my wins that night and every other night. So keep learning, keep grinding, and support. So have supportive people in your circle. I am a big proponent of Facebook groups. I will join a Facebook group for anything. So I am in so many Facebook photo booth groups because there are people that have been in the game for a long, long time and they have a lot of knowledge. So I don't have to make any of these things up because the information is already there. I don't have to start fresh. The information is there. So join these Facebook groups, y'all. The information is there. So that's what I would say.
I want to pivot off of that. So I was going to say the pursuit of knowledge and community and networking. And when the pursuit of knowledge, I mean, like you can pretty much we have an advantage now. You can pretty much find answers to anything online. I can't tell you how many podcasts I listen to, how many YouTube people I follow, TikTokers who are specific in real estate or in wealth creation in general, and find a handful of people who are in the same field or in the same area that you're interested in and just follow them and listen and ingest that information every week, every day, if possible. Then reach out to your community, network. Don't be afraid to go out and pursue. I say pursue the leads because that's what I do specifically, but go to events. You have to, don't be a secret agent is what we say. Don't be a secret agent. Let people know about you and your business and don't be afraid. And honestly, don't be afraid to fail because the quicker because you're gonna fail, and the quicker you do that, the faster you get it out of the way. You know, you're gonna have to get through 100 no's to get to one yes, and so you're going to have the mentality of, I'm gonna fail. I know I'm gonna fail. That's okay. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna learn from it, and then I'm gonna keep going.
The next question deals with exposing the younger generation to entrepreneurship. Some of you have family members or children that you may want to get involved in a family business. So what's important? How important is it to expose our young people, particularly young Black people, to entrepreneurship early? And how can we, as a community, be able to, do this effectively?
I'll go. I often said, when we were certifying individuals as DBEs or small businesses or whatever, I used to say to them, you may have a business, but you do not have a business. All right, there's a difference between a business and a business. All right, there's the difference, a whole difference between a business and a business. And first thing I want to tell them is, if you're serious, go through a list similar to this. Have an EIN number. Make sure that you are legit. So when you walk to a bank or you go for a loan, you will have the proper documentation that you need in order to get into the door, so that they'll know that you are legitimate and that you are really wanting to do business and you need access to capital. Make sure, that's why I said as a banker, make sure you have all this done so that when you get ready to go to access the capital, you have a checklist done. So in essence, you walk into, let's say, a program that they have over at Del Mar for small businesses. You go in with this list, you've already had it complete, then the next thing they're gonna do is make sure you find some leads. They're gonna make sure that you know where to go in order to go to the next steps and find agencies such as that to help them along the way. So that's the first thing you need to do, is make sure that you have a checklist, make sure you have checked that list, make sure you have applied the things that are necessary for your business in order to succeed. And if I can teach anyone that, that's what I'll make sure that they do when they walk out of an office with me. I'll make sure that you have a checklist that you're ready to go to see a banker, you're ready to go see the people at the Economic Development Center. You make sure that you can, if you want to do government contracting, whatever you want to do private sector contracting, making sure that those individuals have the wherewithal that they can walk through the gates or walk through the door, knowing that they have already checklists and have the information at hand. So find those particular agencies that help them throughout the way.
But what about the ones under 18?
One's on the
How do we reach these young Black kids who they want to be rap stars? That's fine, but they don't understand there's a business to that.
okay, and basically
But how we influence?
Influencers.
there's called a
Influencers.
program.
How are we doing?
How we help the influencers is called a mentor protege program. They have mentor protege programs. So in essence, we need to have businesses that have been established. The protege these young entrepreneurs to get them into the deal. If you know that they want to be rappers, have someone that you know in your circle that has a music mogul, if you will, up and coming name that these individuals know, and have them to come and talk with these individuals. So you be that focal point where you can reach out and help these individuals, mentor, protege. So get someone and hand them off to someone that knows the business that they're in. So in essence, that's why a chamber, that's why all these associations that are available, because you know somebody that knows somebody. As I say, in this community, you know somebody that knows somebody. That, for instance, when we're having Juneteenth celebration, there's a lot of music people out there, and there's a lot of individuals that want to come and entertain. So these young rappers can meet these individuals who come down as well as music. It's whatever other things that are out there. We know somebody that knows somebody.
Well, what about these churches? How can the churches help with exposing our young people to entrepreneurship?
I would say back in right after the Civil War, when I was coming up. When I was coming up, we had something in churches called Baptist Training Unions, all right? So that's a long time ago, all right? And everyone in that, they had to go to Baptist Training Union, all right? Or BTU, they had to go. So that's when we learned Robert's Rules of Orders. We learned a whole lot of other things other than Baptist training. They were training us to go into the world. So that's where the churches could come in and help find out the needs and wants of those individual youth that come to church, basically getting them into the building and then having something for them. And find out what they like. Find out what they like. And then apply whatever assets that this young lady might have, because I have no clue, but I know her and she has a clue, and find something that they would like, and then do it from that way, from that perspective.
Well, time has really gotten the best of us, and I want to be respectful of your time, so we want to thank our panelists who've given us so much great nuggets, knowledge. I hope you were able to take some great notes. In closing, I'm going to share with you some upcoming events. Okay. With the Black Chamber, we have a membership meeting Monday, May 19th at Claiborne Bank at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you want to.
Bring it up, 'cause I don't remember all the details.
It's Monday, May 19th at Claiborne Bank, room 234. If you're interested in becoming a member of the chamber,
And learning about the benefits.
Monday, May 19th, 5:30 to 8 p.m. Claiborne Bank Community Room. That is room 243 in the Claiborne Bank on South Staples, 5350 South Staples. So if you are a member of the Black Chamber, or if you are curious about becoming a member of the Black Chamber,
the topics of discussion that evening will be the benefits of membership, upcoming events, committee openings, like the Business Expo coming up and our scholarship committee, and then how to have a ribbon cutting or a celebration for your business. So again, May 19th, 5:30 to 8.
The other major event with the Black Chamber of Commerce is, we started, I think 3 years ago, State of the Black Business Luncheon. That will be June 11th, Wednesday, June 11th at the Boys and Girls Club, I think from 11:30 to 1. So we have a really great speaker, and she basically is part of a family business in real estate. Next, Delta Sigma Theta is having a fundraiser through Kendra Scott, Saturday, May 10th. However, I have a flyer here if you're interested in going online. There's a code if you want to shop for Mother's Day. You get 20% off. Well, no. 20% of the proceeds go back to Delta Sigma Theta Corpus Christi Alumni Chapter. So if you're interested in participating in this fundraiser, is through Kendra Scott. And the code is valid from on May 9th and May 10th. Zeta Phi Beta is having their Hatitude Saturday, July 26th, 2 p.m. The Holiday Inn Corpus Christi, and pre-sale is $35, and then it'll be $40 at the door, so you can see a member of Zeta Phi Beta for tickets. And then there's an all-around town citywide connection revival starting on Wednesday, April 30th through Saturday, May 3rd. Wednesday is going to be at Calvary First Baptist Church, 2906 Carver Drive. Service starts at 7. Thursday, May 1st, will be at St. John Baptist Church, 5445 Greenwood Drive. Service starts at 7. Friday, May 2nd, is going to be St. Matthew Baptist Church, 1101 Waco. Service starts at 7. And then Saturday, May 3rd, it's going to be at West Haven Baptist Church, 1902 Cliff Moss Drive. And that focuses on children and youth-led worship. Services start at 6. There are flyers on the table. So those are the announcements. And I just want to say thank you for coming. And we want to be mindful of your time and mindful of the church's time. So please feel free to get past cards, get their information, and hopefully we can do this again, do another Doing Business As, and bring back our panelists to continue the conversation, because I think it's really great. So thank you for coming.